really appreciate everybody coming out tonight, and I particularly appreciate Susan allowing us to use your beautiful home, and it really is a beautiful home. Let's give her one more round. Yeah. The help of our whole committee, all of our hosts, just really appreciate everybody coming out tonight. So I get asked this question all the time, why are you running? And again, I am running for state representative, so the question is always, why are you running? The most important thing to remember about me, and I've said it 100 times, is I am not a politician. I'm not. I'm a businessman. That's what I do for a living. But I do believe that when you see a need in your community, you have a responsibility to step in and do something about it. That's what I've always done. And there is definitely a desperate need in our community right now. I've got a quote here from John Adams, and I didn't want to mess it up. Public business must always be done by somebody. If wise men decline it, others will not. If honest men refuse it, others will not. That's why I'm running. Well, what I want to do, because anytime you go for a job, you have to put your resume out there. So I want to start out by kind of walking you through my resume a little bit. So when I get to my plan, you understand how my experiences play into it. Well, back in 2004, I took a look at our community and I realized we had a real need. We had a need for a quality supplemental education business, tutoring. So I decided to start from the ground up Huntington Learning Center in Hendersonville. And I got to tell you, at that moment in time, and Tracy will attest to this, that was not an easy decision to make. Now, of course, we have the benefit here 10 years later, a decade later, and I stand before you with a very successful business. We've worked with hundreds and hundreds of Sumner County families and students. They've been successful. I employ dozens of teachers, and I make a payroll every week. That's what I do. Now, in addition to that, I also looked out over the community and I saw that there were other opportunities and there were other needs. Starting with something that's near and dear to my heart, which is the United Way. I've been involved with the United Way since I was in my early 20s. And I immediately reached out to the Sumner County United Way and said, I need to help out. I got on an allocations panel. I eventually worked my way onto the board of directors and ultimately became the chairman of the United Way. In the year I was chairman, we ran about a $650,000 campaign, something I was very proud of. Almost immediately starting my business, I also joined the Hendersonville Chamber of Commerce. I worked my way through the committee system there and ultimately made my way to chairman. I'm currently the chairman of our charitable foundation. During my time with the chamber, I was also on the education committee. Mike knows this history really well. And I heard about this great organization called Compass, community outreach, making partnerships at Sumner schools. And I thought, this is really cool. I want to get involved with that group. And I spearheaded the effort to grow the Tennessee Scholars Program throughout Sumner County. Today, we've graduated hundreds and hundreds of Tennessee scholars in Sumner County, and a lot of those students have gone on to Ball State free of charge. Through my time with Compass, I ultimately worked my way up to chairman. Currently, I'm on the executive board of trustees at JP2 High School. And I know I sound like I'm just listing stuff off, but the reason I'm doing this is because whenever I get involved in something, I get fully involved in it. And I work hard, and I communicate with people, and I try my best to lend my leadership ability to that organization. Okay, so that brings us to where we are today. And where we are today is we have a real need in this county. We need leadership. And I'm sorry to say that our current representative is not providing that to us. So now I want to explain to you a little bit about myself, the candidate. Number one, I am a conservative Republican. By conservative, I mean that I am pro-life. I plan to vote yes on Proposition 1 in November, and I encourage all of you to do the same. I'm pro-Second Amendment, and that means that I think we have a constitutional right to keep and bear arms. I believe in limited government. Let's pause there for a minute. I believe in limited government. How many politicians say, I believe in limited government?
All of them.
All of them. My experience is, I don't know what happens, but when they get involved in government, all of a sudden they don't believe that anymore. Now, my little piece of government, I think, actually needs to grow to protect us. And I can tell you that our incumbent is guilty of that. So let me give you some examples. One of her signature pieces of legislation that she's working on right now came from a conversation that she had with one elderly woman. One. She went to her door, and this woman was concerned because her property taxes are going up. And she was fearful that she may no longer be able to stay in her home. And that is a terrible situation. I think we all agree with that. Now, as a conservative Republican, the first thing that I would have done is asked her if she had reached out to any family members to help her out. The second thing I would have done, having been the chairman of the United Way in Sumner County, I would have suggested that she dial 211. In Sumner County, if you pick up the phone and call 211, it will connect you with an agency that can help, like the Samaritan Center in Hendersonville. Well, my opponent chose a different tack. Her solution to this problem is to create a statewide loan program. A loan program. So essentially what she wants to do is she wants to take our taxpayer money, create a loan program to then loan money to folks in this situation. She wants to loan them money so that they can turn around and use that money to pay another government. Does that sound conservative to you? That doesn't sound conservative to me. Another thing that she's working on right now is a proposal that would essentially cut the legs out from our local school board on curriculum decisions. So what our incumbent has suggested is that every time we want to make a curriculum change in our school system, that it be put up for vote amongst all the citizens in Sumner County. Well, I put a quick call into the elections office, and I found out that every time we run a referendum, it costs us about $100,000 a pop. I then put another call into our board, our school board, and I found out that we make multiple curriculum decisions throughout the year. So you start doing some math, $100,000 per vote, multiple times per year. Does that sound conservative to you? These things don't sound conservative to me. We need a change, and we need it now. We need someone who's got the experience, who's operated a business, understands how to balance a budget, and understands how to be frugal with the taxpayers' money. So what I've done, and like I've always done, is I've developed a plan, because I don't think you can ever be successful unless you have a plan. My plan consists of three major areas. I call it the 3 E's. I'm going to focus on the economy, on education, and on excellence. So let me walk you through that. Starting with the economy. As I mentioned, I own a small business. I pay enough taxes already. I don't want to pay any more taxes. I certainly don't want to pay more taxes to fund a loan program that's going to grow bureaucracy and could be ripe for fraud. I don't want to do that. So what I want to do is I want to look for opportunities to actually reduce taxes. I want to look for regulations that don't make any sense and eliminate those. Because what we want is to make it easier for businesses to operate in this state and not harder. It's good for everybody. A good economy is good for everybody. And one of the promises that we need to offer our businesses is a well-educated workforce. That leads me to point 2. Point 2 is education. Okay, so I'm in the education business. What a lot of people don't know about me is I also have been in the classroom. I've taught hundreds of students as an adjunct professor at both Cumberland University and MTSU. That means I put lesson plans together. I've graded. I've had to deal with students who came back asking for extra credit. I understand all of that. And I know what it takes to be successful in the classroom. It takes setting a goal. Make it rigorous, but make it attainable. Then work with students on an individualized basis to ensure that they can meet the goal. And lastly, you've got to have some sort of an assessment, some sort of a measurement that tells you whether or not you were truly successful in what you were trying to do. Not to be punitive and punish people, but to help a teacher to know where to support those kids. So from a high level, when you look at the state, what I think we should be doing as a state is setting the goals, creating a good solid assessment tool that we all can agree to, and then stay the heck out of the way. Let the local school system do their job. Because at the end of the day, kids are not statistics. Teaching is a profession, and teachers need to be supported. In fact, I would say that teachers and principals and administrators need to be involved when we're developing these policies as a state. Because at the end of the day, the best education possible is as close to that child as you can get. and that's the teacher. That's what I believe. Now, excellence. I use that word all the time, and I want to kind of explain to you what I mean about it. To me, excellence is, again, what I've always done. It's a combination of being involved, being fully involved in the community, talking to people, having an open door policy so that people know that they can get in touch with you if they want to. Quite frankly, we're missing that right now. As a matter of fact, I'll give you an example, and I hope the mayor doesn't mind. I was talking to the mayor the other day, and he's got a great project that he's working on right now. $8 million road project to add a lane. He and his team come up with a fantastic solution to create synchronization of lights, $1.25 million. Huge savings over having to put another lane in. He's got the money to do it. He's got the approval of the Metropolitan Planning Organization to do it, but he's getting blocked by TDOT. That's a role of a state representative, to get involved and to help make a project like that happen. But in order for that to happen, you have to be involved. You have to be possibly on the she is on the transportation committee. But you also have to know.
Oh yeah.
But you also have to know that the problem exists. You have to have a relationship with your municipalities to know what's going on. And I've had the benefit of having heard her speak at least a half a dozen times, and not once has she even mentioned Sumner County, let alone Goodlettsville and Hendersonville and Millersville and White House. So, in closing, I will just tell you, the reason why I'm running is because this needs to change. Sumner County is going to grow. We're going to grow in population. We're going to grow in influence in Middle Tennessee. There are resources that are available to this community, and we need to have the right people to tap into those to make sure that Sumner County is getting what it needs to continue to be successful. And I believe that I'm the best person to do that. But in order for any of that to happen, I need your help. And I need your vote. The election's coming up on August 7th. I would appreciate your vote. I certainly appreciate your donations. And thank you very much for coming out.